Okay, this is Angie Hoschouer, and she's going to give us a presentation on the Citizen Legion of Honor Award.
I like your screen. That's really nice.
I was trying to make it simple. So, excuse all the lines in there, but you get the point. All right, so let me know when I need to cut off, but I highlighted to make it a short one. Okay, so this is the President's Club of Dayton recipients of the Citizen Legion of Honor Award, and you have to be buried at Woodland to be on my program. So there's a lot more than you're not on the program, right? So, which is a good thing, right? So, all right. So our first recipient is Stanley Allen, and in 1951 he became the very first recipient of the President's Club of Dayton's Legion of Honor Award. He was the National Cash Register NCR president and board chairman, who established this this new award, and so bar was set very high with Mr. Allen. He was the youngest man to serve on NCR's board. Under his leadership, NCR became a world leader in accounting, bookkeeping, adding machines, and the beginning of the computer field. In 1940, he became the NCR president, and sales overseas were at $20 million. By 1957, when he retired, the sales were at approximately $400 million. 400 million in just 17 years. So wow. He really boosted NCR up. He became, in 1950, he was the president of the Community Chest, which we know as the United Way now, and also the Councils of America. He had a huge impact in Dayton. He served with the United Fund, the Boy Scouts of America, the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, Boys Club, Miami Conservancy District. It was said while there, many important individuals behind the funding of Wright State, there was no one more influential than Stanley Allen making that project a reality. Wright State's very first building, Allen Hall, is named after Stanley Allen, and he was associated with the Dayton Rotary Club. Oh, there's Stanley, sorry. So you can see here he's with members of the 1952 University Lay Board of Trustees, and then here he's with Boy Scouts Council. So, and then here, when Wright State became, remember, it was part of Miami University and Ohio State University, and then it transferred over into Wright State University. And then here's Allen Hall, and then this is his burial space at Woodland Cemetery. And then Walter Beam, for 52 years, he worked in Dayton's banking industry. After graduating from Miami Jacobs Business College, he obtained his first job in 1907 as a clerk at the Mutual Home and Savings Association, where he had to sweep the floors. 2 years later, he joined the Market Savings Bank as a bookkeeper and a teller, and by 1915, he had become cashier and secretary. In 1924, he became associated with Winners National Bank, and by 1935, he had advanced to president, and in 1958, became chairman of the board. He served with the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, Dayton Community Chest, Miami Valley Hospital, Council on World Affairs, and Sean Akers Children's Home. He volunteered at Junior Achievement, the United Jewish Appeal, as well as the Montgomery County War Finance Committee. In 1954, he became the fourth recipient of the President's Club Award, and he was affiliated with the Dayton Chamber of Commerce. And then here he is at Woodland. And Harvey Hahn was a pastor emeritus at Otterbein United Methodist Church for 41 years. He was a man of strong conviction and served as a chaplain for both the Dayton Police and the Firefighters Association. As president of the Miami Valley Hospital's Board of Trustees, he served for 34 years. He also served with the Boy Scouts of America, the Girl Scouts of America, the Boys Club of Dayton, the YMCA, the Red Cross, East Dayton Community Council, and the Sertoma Club. He was a 33rd degree Mason. He became the 5th recipient of the President's Honor Award, and he is interred in the Woodland Mausoleum. They all had so many associations and affiliations. I don't know how they had time. Well, they didn't have cell phones, right?
That's Tony.
That's Tony, yeah. Edward Kohnle was a graduate of Steele High School in the University of Pennsylvania, joined Monarch Marking in 1912, of which his father had founded. And by 1951, he advanced to president, and when Monarch merged with Pitney Bowes in 1968, he then retired. He gave nearly 6 years of service to the Boy Scouts of America, and he served as the Miami Valley Council president. He served as YMCA, as the Metropolitan Dayton president of the YMCA. He served as president of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, the Community Chest, and the Dayton Rotary. In 1949, he led the fundraising effort to build the new state-of-the-art high school stadium, which was known as Welcome Stadium. And then here he is working with Carillon Park as well, and here at Carillon Park, and then here at Camp Kern. He became the 6th recipient of the President's Award, and he was associated with the Dayton Rotary Club. And then we have David Reich, who we all are familiar with, Reich's Department Store. It was founded by his grandfather, David, and then in 1853, David's father, Frederick, inherited the business, and then upon his father's death, David was elected president in 1947. In 1965, he became the board chairman and was the chief executive officer. He created a special fund for families experiencing financial distress, and he was really committed to keeping Reich's Department Store downtown at that at 2nd and Main Streets, which unfortunately is no longer.
I know.
It's so sad. In 1954, he received the prestigious Toby Award as the nation's retailer of the year. He was also director of both the National Dry Goods Association and the Dayton Retail Merchants Association, and he sat on the board of directors at NCR and the Kroger Company as well. In 1957, he became the 7th recipient of the President's Club, Dayton Citizens Legion of Honor Award, and he was associated with the Dayton Rotary Club. And then we have Milton Wagner, was born and raised in Cincinnati, graduated from the University of Cincinnati in 1908 with an electrical engineering degree before working for the Dayton Power and Light Company. He joined Dayton's Charles M. Kelso Company in 1919 as manager of its electrical division. In 1928, he became known, the company then became known as the Wagner Smith Company, and Wagner remained president until his retirement in 1960. His charitable endeavors included the Boy Scouts, Miami Valley Hospital. He was a trustee and president, and also headed the $2.6 million buildings fund in 1950. He was active as president of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, the United Way, Dayton Kiwanis, the Engineers Club, and of course Dayton Red Cross. And then in 1958, he became the 8th recipient of the President's Club honor, and he was associated with the Dayton Kiwanis Club. He is just steps away from the Wright brothers. He's in the same section as the Wright brothers. And then we have Carl Kopp, who was a GM employee for 40 years. He retired as manager of industrial relations for Frigidaire in 1956. For 18 years, he served as an officer and board member with the Dayton Metropolitan Housing Authority and sat on the Dayton Planning Board. He was also an avid bowler and served as the Dayton Bowling Association president from 1939 to 1975. He wasn't even at the meeting that they nominated him, and a Dayton Daily News reporter went to his offices and says, I'm looking for Carl Kopp, the president of the Bowling Association. And he says, well, I'm Carl Kopp. And he goes, well, you're the president of the Bowling Association. I need to take your picture. And then he served from 1939 to 1975 without even really knowing that he had been awarded that prestigious honor there.
Wow.
In 1959, he became the 9th recipient of the President's Legion of Honor Award, and he was associated with the Dayton Mercator Club. Then we have Harry P. Jeffrey. He graduated also from Steele High School and went on to earn a degree from Ohio State University of Law, College of Law in 1926. He practiced law for 60 years, taking a brief break to serve as Ohio Special Assistant Attorney General from 1933 to 1936, and as a Republican representative to Congress for Ohio's 3rd District from 1943 to 1945, which is what we now know as Ohio's 10th District. It's the same district. As congressman, he co-authored the GI Bill of Rights, which provided benefits to veterans returning from World War II, including loans that enabled military veterans to get a college education. Very important bill there. His congressional service, after his congressional service, he then came back to Dayton and resumed his law practice. He was serving as chairman as the County City Tax Advisory Committee. He was involved with the Salvation Army, the Montgomery County Polio Foundation, Community Chest, and Red Cross. He was also a member of Fairmont Presbyterian Church, where he was a founding member of that congregation. And then he went on to play a major role in the establishment of Wright State University. In 1963, he co-chaired the General Solicitation Division for the University Fund Campaign and helped to both buy the land and develop the academic program started at Wright State. He also served as a trustee, a secretary of the University Foundation Board of Directors. He was the 12th recipient of the President's Legion of Honor Award, and he was associated with the Salvation Army. And then Robert C. Neff was president, chairman, and director of the YMCA, chairman of the First National Bank of Dayton, president and general manager of Standard Packaging Corporation, Gebhardt Folding Box Division, and a member of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce and Merchants National Bank and Trust Company. He moved to Dayton his junior year of high school before attending the YMCA night school, which was the precursor to Sinclair Community College. Years later, he would become Sinclair's board president, and at Westminster Presbyterian Church, he served as a deacon, an elder, a trustee, and a treasurer. He also received Sinclair's President's Citation for Leadership in Business, Civic, and Church Life Award. In 1963, he became the 13th recipient of the President's Club Dayton Citizen Legion of Honor Award, and he was associated with the Dayton Rotary Club. Oh, and then the box company turned out to be the Neff Folding Box Company, and so this is what it looked like then, and these are the products they produce now. A lot of them we are quite familiar with.
That looks like alcohol.
On the left side of the screen, or on the right side of the screen. I'm teasing. We all use Tide. We know it.
Look at that, Jack Daniels,
Jack
Scotch.
Daniels. All right, Louis Wozar. So Louis Wozar relocated to Dayton in 1942 as a production engineer for the United Aircraft Products and quickly moved up the company's management ladder. In 1948, he joined Tate Manufacturing Company as executive assistant to the president, and as a holder of numerous patents, he was named Tate's president and general manager in 1954. In Dayton, he was active in more than 24 organizations, including the Boy Scouts of America, Kettering Hospital, Rotary Club, Air Force Museum Foundation, Barney's Children's Medical Center, among others. He served as president of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, the Frank M. Tate Foundation, Junior Achievement of Dayton, and the Rotary Club of Dayton, and a couple more. Then, through his involvement with the Dayton Council on World Affairs, he had an international impact. In 1964, he founded and became chairman of the Dayton Sister City Committee with Augsburg, Germany. He was elected to the board of Sister Cities International in 1970 and became president of the board in 1972. He became the 14th recipient of the President's Club Honor Award and was affiliated with the Dayton Rotary Club. Now, he is interred in the Woodland Mausoleum in a private mausoleum room. I mean, it's open to the public, but it's a private room unlike others that are in the mausoleum. And he has a beautiful stained glass window in his mausoleum room. And the story is that this was the view from his kitchen window, which is hole number 8 on the Dayton Country Club.
Cool.
Herman Lehman, in 1925, was General Motors Delco Light Company, hired him as an inspector. And in 1928, he moved to GM's Frigidaire division, rising through the ranks, and then became Frigidaire general manager, and then became General Motors vice president in 1956, and he retired in 1965. He served with the Air Force Museum Foundation, the Cox Memorial, Coronary Heart Institute, Dayton Boys Club, Dayton Junior Achievement, the Miami Valley Boy Scout Council, Miami Valley Hospital, Otterbein College, University of Dayton, and about 7 or 8 more organizations he was involved with. He was the 16th recipient of the Legion of Honor Award and was affiliated with the Dayton Rotary Club. And then our first woman recipient is Virginia Kettering, which of course, she put her money where her heart was. She was the daughter-in-law of inventor Charles F. Kettering, and after his death in November of 1958, her husband Eugene and she continued the work of his foundation to support scientific research in the benefit of mankind. In 1959, they donated $17 million to build the Kettering Medical Center. The Ketterings then contributed generously to Dayton projects, including the U.S. Air Force Museum, and Eugene died in 1969. In an effort to revitalize downtown, she built the Kettering Tower, and then she was instrumental in replanning the courthouse square and helped revitalize Victoria Theater. Many of the organizations in Dayton benefited from her generosity, including Carillon Historical Park, Sunwatch Indian Village, Wright State University, the Dayton Art Institute. She was a trustee at the University of Dayton, a trustee at the Boonshaw Museum of Discovery, Dayton Philharmonic Orchestra, Planned Parenthood of Miami Valley, and Sinclair Community College Foundation. Today, the Virginia W. Kettering Foundation and the Virginia W. Kettering Fund, of course, still fund a lot of projects in the Dayton community. In 1976, she became the 26th recipient of the President's Club Legion of Honor Award, and she was associated with the Dayton Sir Optimus Club. And last, we're going to end on a high note with another woman. So Charity Adams Early was the commander of the only all-black Women's Army Corps and unit that served overseas during World War II. So what she did was she was the U.S. Army's first black commissioned female officer. She had joined the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps and was in the first class to undergo officers training. She would assume command of the 6888th Postal Battalion. The job at hand was to deliver all of the mail in the European theater to all of the soldiers serving. She devised a plan with her all-black women's group to working with 800 female African Americans of all different ages and backgrounds. She devised a plan to work them in 3 8-hour shifts. Of course, This plan was highly criticized by the white male officers who argued that it wasn't the way that they would do it, so it shouldn't be done that way. Of course, her leadership proved to be right, and she got the job done, and faster than anyone expected. And of course, this was so important during the war for the men. It was a morale thing for the men to get those letters, and then for the families back home to get the letters that they had written. So huge service there. She then served with the American Red Cross Board of Governors, Sinclair Community College Board, Wilberforce University, Metropolitan Housing Authority, the Dayton Urban League, and then alongside John E. Moore, she co-founded Parity 2000, which is now Parity Incorporated, which is a community-based nonprofit organization dedicated to strengthening educational, economic, and social opportunities for Montgomery County African Americans. The Charity Adams Early Academy for Girls in Dayton is named for her, which is over on Chute Mill Road across the street, from the Girl Scouts offices. And she and her husband are both interred at Woodland. She was the 40th recipient of the President's Club Legion of Honor Award, and she was affiliated with the American Red Cross. And lastly, the Charity Adams Early Room at Sinclair Community College in Building 12 is named after her. Yeah, so now you know. Yeah,
That's
if
pretty
you've
awesome.
ever been in Building 12 for any functions, and you've ever been in that early room, the conference room there, across from the theater, that's named in her honor. Yes. So that's it for, and this next slide, these are all the other recipients of the Citizen Legion of Honor Award, but unfortunately for them, they're not at Woodland. But they in themselves have all done really great things. If you look at that list, it's really the who's who of Dayton, all of these folks, and I'm amazed at how much time these folks, not only as presidents and vice presidents and CEOs of these major corporations in town, also had the opportunity to give back and serve by being heads of these, presidents and vice presidents and treasurers of all of these nonprofit organizations. But it was a lot different back then. You really had to be involved with your community and give back. So let's get back into that tradition again. I think businesses really need to, step up and be a part of the community a little bit more. So we have great people who have paved the path. We just need to follow it. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.